Good morning, everybody. Matt Moda here with OddsJam. Let's talk NBA betting strategy as I give you my favorite NBA player prop bets for today, locking in some sharp, mathematically profitable NBA player props using the OddsJam software. Yesterday, I finally had a good day with these NBA player props. I gave out 3 picks. I went 2-1, but the 2 plays that hit both hit for plus money, which means higher payout. To do a little bit of a recap from yesterday, had a good day overall, up 484, which was great because it started rough. If you look at my bet tracker on OddsJam, which you have access to, by the way, you can look at my bet tracker for completely free. Just the link to it is in the description of the video, the link to my dashboard. Lost a ton of plays in a row as the day started, but things started to pick up. You see a lot more 1 in the row, especially at the end of the night. So I had 3 picks. The first one was Al Horford over 5.5 rebounds. That one lost. To be honest with you, I just totally pegged this game wrong. I did not expect the Bucks to get blown out by 41 points at home. Take an L there. Next 2 plays hit, and they are both for pretty decent payouts. Number 1, plus 118 odds, Brandon Ingram over 6.5 player assists. That was awesome. The second play, Jamal Murray over 3.5 made 3-pointers. That hit for plus 160 odds. That was great. So for today, I have 4 NBA player props for you guys to lock in. I will say before I get into it, would appreciate those of you watching if you could like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also recommend hitting me up on my Twitter handle that you see on the screen here. A link to it is in the description of the video as well. A lot of these plays that you see here, I ended up posting on Twitter if they didn't make it to a YouTube video, like this Shohei Ohtani one here. I tweeted out plus 140 odds, that one cashed. So definitely recommend following me on Twitter, but let's get into it. So I have 2 plays that I found using the OddsJam positive expected value page, filtered specifically for NBA player props, which is cool that you can do that. The first play that I locked in here is Jalen Brunson to go over 2.5 made threes, plus 170 odds at bet365. Now I know that the initial question I'm going to get is why would you bet something at plus 170 odds? Well, let me just look at my day yesterday and tell you why. Plus 160 cashed, plus 140 cashed, plus 190 cashed, plus 185 cashed, plus 225 cashed. Plus money bets cash all the time, and when they do, it's higher payout. It's science. It's just more money when you hit a plus money play. So I definitely don't recommend avoiding plays for plus money or for higher payouts just because they're plus money. You can still find some really good plays like the ones I found yesterday that are for plus money odds. So just wanted to get that out right off the bat. But the reason why I like this play, there are 2. Number 1, look at these no vig odds here. So when you're positive expected value betting, you're placing a bet that we know as the sports bettor is going to hit at a higher rate than the reflected odds that the sportsbook is offering. So OddsJam calculates the perfect line, the true line of what a market should be priced at. In this case, at plus 163. Bet365 is offering this at plus 170. So the gap between these 2 numbers is where you get your positive expected value from, right? The bigger the gap between these 2 numbers, the higher the percent of your play is, the higher the EV percent of your play. Now, that doesn't mean that I blindly hammer every single positive expected value play that pops up. I do a little bit more digging to make sure I'm placing the best of the best. And when I say digging, I mean I look into the market. So what I like to do is make sure that I'm betting on an outlier compared to every other book. So we locked it in at plus 170. Look at where every other book prices it. The closest one is at plus 150. Now, obviously, the higher the odds go, the inherently bigger gap there is going to be between the sports books. So if you're ever unsure, ever confused, okay, well, is this actually an outlier? Like, how do I really know? It's a great question. So what you want to do is open the event page in a new tab. So click open event, view event page, open in new tab, and it pulls up the screen you see here, which is just the market that you are betting, in this case, player made threes for the game that you are betting it on. And what you want to do is you want to click this button that says show no vig odds. What this button does is exactly what it sounds like. It removes the vig from every single sportsbook and shows you the no vig odds. So if you're ever unsure of if you are truly placing an outlier or not, just compare the odds of the bet you're placing to the no vig odds of every other sportsbook. So if you remember, we locked in Jalen Brunson at plus 170 odds. Well, guess what? Look at where every other sportsbook prices the fair line of this play. FanDuel, we see it at plus 164. Caesars, plus 162. DraftKings, plus 162. Across the board, plus 161, plus 165, 162, blah, blah, blah. In the plus 160s across the board, with PointsBet being the lowest at plus 184. So literally every single sportsbook that is pricing this play has their true line, the true odds, below the plus 170, which is the odds that we bet, which is a sign that this is a profitable bet. So I'm not saying that Jalen Brunson is guaranteed to go over, that he's a lock to hit 3 or more 3-pointers. I looked it up. He hasn't hit it in a couple days, but in a couple games, I should say. But with Julius Randle out, possibly he's going to take more of a scoring load and he's going to have to shoot more. You just have to hope that he's healthy. He also plays against a good defense in the Cavs. So I'm not saying that this is like a no-risk bet, that it's a lock that he hits. But when you're positive EV betting, you just want more bites at the apple when you are beating the no-vig odds of the majority of books, which is exactly what we're doing here. So that's why I like this play for a bunch of reasons. I'm not scared off by the plus 170, so I definitely recommend you guys tailing this one. Moving on, that's play number 1. Play number 2, LeBron James, you might have heard of him. We're taking him to go under. We're actually fading him under 1.5 made threes, plus 158 odds at FanDuel. So another plus money banger that we are locking in that I am absolutely not scared off of. OddsJam calculates the true line, the no vig odds of this one to be at about plus 152.5. We are getting it up at plus 158. So we're still getting a pretty decent edge here, an edge of about 2.16%. This also is, like I mentioned, your percent of expected value can also be viewed as your profit margin. But it's the same logic here. If you compare the FanDuel odds of plus 158 to every other book, we're getting a pretty good price. The closest book is PointsBet at plus 145. But let's do the same exact exercise. Let's open this up in a new tab and let's see where every sportsbook prices it. So I have the VIG removed, and here's what we see. LeBron James, plus 158 odds at FanDuel. Every other book in the plus 140s, with BetOnline still lower at plus 156. The only book that's above is PointsBet at plus 161, but it literally beats the fair odds of every other sportsbook. And some of them by a decent amount, like plus 140, plus 146, plus 142. The only one that's really close, aside from PointsBet, is BetOnline at plus 156. So we're getting, again, a really good price here. And that's 2 plays that we locked in for plus money that beat the no vig odds of the majority of sportsbooks. If these plays go 1-1, guess what? We will have profited. That's the beauty of plus money bangers. Now I found 2 more plays using OddsJam, using the low holds tool. There are multiple ways to find profitable bets, and it's not just the positive EV page. So again, filtered specifically for NBA player props. And what happens here, a low hold is when you can place a bet on both sides of an outcome for either a 0% hold or close to it. So like we see plus 120, minus 120, you can place a bet on both sides and you're going to totally break even. The logic for placing a low hold generally is if you have like a deposit match or a playthrough or something like that, or you're like close to reaching a new tier of a sportsbook reward program, that you want to place a bet up to a certain amount and guarantee that you're not going to lose money. That's what a low hold is for. But if there is a scenario where you could place a bet on both sides and break even, one of, if not both of these sportsbooks has some sort of outlier. Now, I didn't have a play on this RJ Barrett one, but I did find 2 plays. Number 1, on the first play is Jaden Ivey to go under 23.5 points plus rebounds. So this is priced at minus 102 odds at FanDuel. People are going to ask, okay, if this play's good, why isn't it on the positive EV page? Well, there's a couple reasons. The first reason is because this market, points plus rebounds, so something is only going to show up on the EV page if we have a sharp sportsbook to compare it to, like a BetOnline or a Pinnacle. Well, unfortunately, neither of those sharp sportsbooks price this specific market, points plus rebounds. So it won't show up on the EV page, but still, look at the value here. Every other sportsbook that prices it heavily favors it going under, right? Caesars and Bet365, minus 125. DraftKings and Betway, minus 130. Fliff, minus 135. FanDuel is giving us all the way down at minus 102. So that's another example of a really good price that we are finding here. And even though it didn't show up on the positive EV page, it's still a really good play. So this is play number 3, Jaden Ivey under 23.5 points plus rebounds, minus 102 at FanDuel. And the last play that we are locking in here is James Harden to go over 2.5 made 3-pointers, plus 116 odds at FanDuel. Another play that is really good, and I already did the work, opened it up in a new tab, the event page, and we locked it in at plus 116. Look at the other sports books, plus 110, plus 113, plus 108. So one above it, plus 118, a second above it, plus 117, Fox Bet at plus 121, and then PointsBet at plus 129. But we still have the majority of sports books, and also ones that I like comparing it to. DraftKings is obviously super sharp. Pinnacle is super sharp. BetOnline, unfortunately, is above it, but at least it's only 1 cent higher at plus 117, so it's not entirely a huge outlier. And at the end of the day, we're looking for plays that are outliers compared to the majority of sports books, which this James Harden one is. So I locked it in. And that's it, my 4th and final pick for this video. I know that this video was a little bit longer, so for those of you still watching it, I appreciate you. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, hit me up on Twitter. Enjoy the games, and have a good one.